All right, so we're going to take a look at an introduction to statistics. And in doing so, I need to kind of lay some groundwork for you that there will be some new terminology that you may not be particularly comfortable or used to hearing. And so it's going to be very important that you treat these like new vocabulary words and that you're going to need to remember them. You're going to need to remember what they mean and how to use them properly. So the four we're going to focus on today is from our introductory lesson. We're going to look at four that are mean, and then we'll talk median, mode, and last but not least, we're going to talk about range. Each of these four are going to really what they're going to do is they're going to pour into how we look at one thing, and really the most important thing, the reason we talk about statistics, and it's one of my favorite things, but it is data. Data is essentially, on most levels, numbers, collected numbers. And when we look at data, what does that look like? And so with statistics and with the study of statistics, what you will learn to do as you grow deeper and deeper and deeper into your understanding of statistics is be able to interpret data and say, what are the numbers telling me? I do this all the time, and in just a second, I'll even show you how I even did it with you this year. But really quickly, we've got these four relatively new terms. I know at some point throughout the year you may have touch base with this through Khan Academy or even through some one-on-one instruction. But let's take a look at each of these and just really make sure we've defined them properly. So when we talk about mean, what we talk about mean is going to be the average. So within a given set of data, our mean is the average. These often are interchangeable in terms of the language used within statistics. But when we talk about mean, we're talking about an average. What I mean with average, and just a quick kind of explanation, is if on a given test I scored a 92 on a test, then I scored a 94 on a test, and then I really did well, I scored a 98 on a test. Well, the average is the sum of those. So it's the sum of all of your data divided by the number of data points. I'm going to call them DP data points. So to figure out what would be my average for that particular run of test, what I would do is I pull my calculator out here, is I'm going to add, let me come back, I need to be able to see this. Let me pull this over here. Now I'm going to pull my calculator out. I'm going to add 92 plus 94 plus 98. That gives me a total of 284, and then I'm going to divide it by the number of data points that I have. How much did I collect? I collected 3 tests. That means, and we'll round to the 10th here, that means my average test, if you see there at the top, 94.7 on on these tests. Let me get rid of that guy. So my average for these tests here, if I were to do that, my average was 94.7. And that way, so on a over 3 tests, what would Mr. Elliott have averaged on a test? Well, we can expect him to get approximately 95 or 94 and 7/10. So that's how we work with average. And again, this is the same as mean. What the median is if you're given a set of data, the median is going to talk about what is the middle number. So when we see median, we're going to talk about what is that middle number, meaning that you have to take the data that you're given and arrange it from least to greatest. And then at that point, for example, I've actually already given, if I come back over here and I look at these, I've already given them in order. Well, the middle number, when they're numerically lined up, is this 94. But what if I had numbers like this? I had 6. My question is, and again, with statistical questions, you're asking questions that have more than a yes or no answer. So my answer is, I'm gonna ask 10 college basketball programs, how many national championships do they have? And so I start asking them. I have 6. When I asked Louisville, they now have 2 because one was taken away. 3, 8, and so forth. And just again, for time purpose, I don't want to get too deep in this. And I have one. Um, Now, if you look at the data has how I collected it, it's not in order. So then I have to come through and say, well, we've got to put that in order. Well, there's one, get rid of the one. Then there's a two. Then there's three. Then there's six, and then eight. So I've now put them in order. So to find the median would be what's that middle number? What comes sequentially in the middle? Now you may find yourself with median. What happens if, let's say, hypothetically, there was another 8 out there? Well, then you would look at, well, the middle point is right here, and you have to find the halfway point between these two numbers. Okay, so then at that point, add the two numbers together, what's 3 plus 6, and then divide it by 2. Okay, so 9 divided by 2 would be 4.5 would be my median on that one. So median is just that middle number when I take it and I lay it out. Now, likewise, and again, let me just add. I want to add that extra 8 here. Okay, mode is you're looking at a repeating number. Okay, but which one the most? The mode is, hey, what number repeats the most? So if I look down here in this data down here, 6, 2. I'm back down here. 6, 2, 3, 8, 1, 8. I see that 8 happens twice. So my mode would be 8. Can you have multiple modes? Absolutely, you can have multiple modes. It could be 6, 8, and 2. Depending on your data and how it gets. But what you're looking for with mode is what number showed up the most. Okay. Now the last one is our range. What range is when I order them numerically. And let me, for range, I'm going to come back over here to my test, okay? When I order them numerically, range is, what I'm looking at is my greatest minus my least equals the range. I want to know if I were to put it on a number line, what am I dealing with? If I were to take a number line here, okay, and here is 92, and 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, that represents, all of those. And you go back and we'll talk about them. I've got a line plot, right? Could I plot it? Well, here he got a 92, there's 3, he got a 94, and then he got a 98. We'll also call those dot plots, as you're going to hear that in statistics. But what was the range? How many spaces did I cover? My range there, as you can see, would be 6. Because I went, and let me use this highlighter here. I went 1 space, 2 space, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many spaces on the number line? And that's your range. So your range is really what are you covering. So I know that's just a flood of information at you. Mean, median, mode, and range. The ones that I will say are most confusing or that you're going to flip-flop a lot are going to be median and mean. Your mean is going to be your average. And again, the formula, add up all of your data and then get that sum and then divide it by the number of pieces of data that you collected. That's your average. Now notice what I did when I did that is I pulled a calculator out. I cannot tell you how important it is for you to do the same. This isn't about getting pen and paper out right now and to write out, because you're going to be dealing with some larger numbers and some bigger spans. The math that you're learning is how to apply these concepts. So again, calculators, get them out, use them. Now, a good practice is, particularly with this, and I have to do it a lot because my mouth often and my brain aren't on the same page as far as the speed in which they're moving, is punch it in twice. Calculate it, write down your answer, calculate it again, make sure you got, check yourself to make sure you just didn't make a silly mistake. Again, the median, you need to just unpack that data, be able to lay it out sequentially, numerically, from least to greatest, find that middle point. If it lies between two numbers, which is going to happen when you don't have an odd amount of numbers. If you have an even amount of numbers, then you may have to come into a situation where you have to split the difference. Where is the middle of those two numbers? Mode which number shows up the most. Again, with mode, you can have multiple numbers, okay? Don't worry about that. And then range is just think about it on a number line. How far can you go? So let me slide on over and let me show you. I want to insert a picture here real quick out of my Google Drive, and just I want to give you an idea of kind of some a real world application here. Okay, this is a picture, and um, I've taken the names out so you can't see it. This is a spreadsheet that I keep on you guys. Okay, your names would be over on the left side. Okay, and all year long, I am constantly keeping numbers, and these numbers would tell me things about you as students. And so, when I would look at, look at like this student right here, averaged 93 on the common assessments, because and I look through here, I can just see every time. But then look here, kind of had one blue, but those numbers were pretty much in line. That average kind of held true. The average for that student was a 93 on common assessments. That average or their mean. So what happens is that data gave me an indicator of what to expect from that student. But then I can look at a student down here who say averaged an 80, kind of I knew about what to expect. And that way, really, then we see this 91, man, we celebrate that. We celebrate this a little bit below. But I start to develop an expectation out of numeric value. And so that was just one way I want you to see kind of, hey, here's how you can use it. And there's so many other ways. And some of your parents, depending on what they do professionally, they may be able to speak into this going, hey, yeah, I collect data and here's what data tells me. But data in a lot of ways, when you collect it, it can kind of talk into what's going on. I mean, I know you get tired of hearing me talk about sports, and I do all the time, but, athletically, when Michael Jordan averaged 28 points a game, what that was is every game he scored X amount of points. They added that up and then divided by the number of games he played. And then the expectation was that data said, well, we can expect him to score about 28 points a game. So we see endless ways that you can apply this mathematical concept into the real world around you. And so hopefully through this unit, you're going to get some opportunities as well to look at some different charts. Now, I can't stress enough, this is an introduction to statistics, and you're going to hear things that are going to continue to take it deeper. And it is a challenging concept, but if you nail these four key concepts down early, it's going to really help you as you move forward, because you're going to get into looking at some stem and leaf plots and some different ways to present data. Knowing these four foundational concepts, I think, are going to be really good for you. So once again, I'm going to put in something that's going to look familiar to you. Let me grab it out of my Google Drive real quick. And it's a dot plot example, okay? Let me make this bigger. Okay, now, again, dot plot, we call them line plots, okay? Same thing, right? You know how to read this. You've seen this. This is family size, so we see all those things that we're comfortable with, right? We see our label, tells us what we're talking about, and then we know by labeling this axis down here is that this is the number of children in each family. Every dot, the one thing we would have done, because we are super OCD, is we would have probably come up here and said, well, every dot equals what? That probably equals a family. You agree? I stole this off Google Images, so they're clearly not as detail-oriented as those woodlawn coats are. But then I can sit and look at this and go, okay, now I can gather some statistics out of this. Okay, there's a lot that I can do with this. I can say, hey, what is, now looking at it, okay, let's go back and let's kind of check off, and we're going to walk through, we'll go mean, median, mode, and then range. Range will be easier. I'm not even going to work these from top to bottom. I'll work them at my own. Now, range, again, we're taking least to greatest, okay? Really, we're focusing on the 5 and the 1 here, okay? What is the range here when we look at that? The range is 4. Do you see that? Because I take my greatest value minus my least value. My range on this particular one is just 4, okay? 1 through 4. I mean, we see that range. And the reason it's not 5 is because we don't have 0 represented there, okay? And that's the range on that number line, okay? My mode, again, I can see this one visually. What shows up the most? I mean, again, visually, I see this guy right here, doesn't it? You know, I mean, there are more 3s than anything else. Okay, so I'm quick. You know, looking with these charts, man, it's not like deciphering data. Now the next two, they're going to take some work. Okay, the next two, now I have to look at and say, well, that median and the mean. You know, what are they? Now, what I need to do to do this, I have to lay these out in order, or I can just count them. Now, I'm going to tell you the median's not as hard as you think. I could come down here, okay, and I could go, well, how many 1s are there? 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, got them. And then how many 2s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I could write them down and then find that middle number when I'm given a chart. That's just a lot of work to do, okay? The other way I could do it is let's count how many total people were surveyed here, okay? 3 are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are here. 1, 2, 2 are here, and 3 are here. So then quickly, a little mental math here. I know 8 and 12 is 20. Go after those first. 23 plus 2 is 25, 28. 28 is my number. I'm saying 28. So what I could do is just count through 14. I know that these two are 11, then 12, 13, 14. That middle would be somewhere in here, which would be right. I told you when they're even, they're going to split a number. Well, what's the middle of 3 and 3? So my median is going to be 3. But the mean, that's a different story. So now we have to figure out the average. Now here's where I want you to pull into your ability to see these and to go, okay, I can see an expression out of that. So here's where I'm going to kind of go up top with you a little bit. I want you to kind of stretch your mind a little bit. All right, we're going to create an expression to help us find what is the average number of children per family that was surveyed here. So again, thinking big picture, we're talking about what is an expression that we can write here. Well, I'm going to deal with the 1s first, okay? How many 1s did I have? I had 3 families of 1. Well, what is of? Multiplication. So I have 3 times 1. Does that represent the 1 column? Absolutely. Then I'm going to add it to my families of 2. How many families of 2 did I have? Well, I had 8 families of 2. Are you with me? Right? I had 8 families of 2. Then I'm going to add 12 families of 3. See how understanding that word of, and you can apply it. Look how we're writing this, what looks like a beautiful just expression representing this. I have 2 families of 4, and then I have 3 families of 5. Now, here's the deal. In order to really make this correct, to find the sum, I find the sum of all, and then what do? I have to divide it by the number of data points. How many data points are there? Well, there are 28. Why 28? Because I collected 28. So, watch this. Is that true? What do you think about that expression? What do you think about this? So I really want you to dig in on here. What do you think about this? I want to give you a second to think. Would that give me the mean? Would that give me the mean? Here's your goal. I just want you to shoot me an email. What's the mean here? So you pause it. I want you to figure it out and just shoot me. What is the mean? How is the average number of families? I think it's so important that you can look at this and to calculate that quickly. But tell me, and if you want to challenge it and do it the long way, and to list all those numbers out, add them, and then divide by 28. But if you want, shoot me an email. But I think the more important part of this, what's powerful about this, is how you can take this and turn this into this. Friends, if you're able to look at these charts and to create expressions that show the math like this, it's scary. It's already scary to think about how you are going to amaze that building next door. It's already scary. But, when you start seeing math this way, sky's the limit, okay? So this is our look at statistics. I want to quickly go back again. I invite you, email me. What's the average family size in our chart? I want to see if you agree with this expression. If you disagree, let me know. I'm always seeing things wrong. But let's come back to our statistics. Quick review. Let me clean up a little bit of this so that it is. I want to make sure that we are on the same page. That we see mean is our average. Median is going to be that middle number. Okay. Our mode is going to be just the number that shows up most frequently. Most frequently, where are you seeing? How many eighths did you see? Again, can there be multiple modes? Absolutely. Can there be just no mode? Sure. What if my numbers were 1, 2, 3, 4? Is there mode? No, there's no mode that showed up more than another. Okay, so it needs to show up at least twice for that. And then the range is just your greatest number minus your least number, and just what are you covering on the span of a number line. The number one, again, thing I expect you to get flip-flopped would be median and mean. Mean is your average, and let me just add that last bit as we look there. And we see that average is right here, okay? Good luck with everything. I hope this is kind of giving you an introductory look into statistics. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.